Good evening. Welcome to the Bennington Select Board meeting on December 28th, 2020. Happy holidays, everybody. I'm sure everybody's had some interesting holidays. It's not like usual, but I hope you've had good holidays, whatever they've been. We are looking at a meeting tonight that we hope to keep fairly brief, but we have some really great guests with us tonight. Before we introduce them, I'd like to ask the board to please introduce themselves. I'm Donald Campbell. I'm the chair of this board. And Bruce, why don't you kick it off, please?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Bruce Lee Clark here.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm Jean Connor.
Hi, this is Jeannie Jenkins.
Hello, everybody. This is Jim Carroll.
Hi, happy holidays, Sarah Perrin.
And we also have with us our town manager, Stuart Hurd, and our assistant town manager, Dan Monks. We have with us our community development director, Shannon Barsotti, and we're lucky to have with us for a presentation a little later on this evening, Jess Rumlow and Kayla Becker from the Y. Before we start this meeting, I need to read this one piece, which I read every week, and goes as follows. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency declared by Governor Scott and pursuant to Addendum 6, Executive Order 1-20 Act 92, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. There is no physical location to attend this meeting. However, the public may view it on CAT TV and call in at 1-646-558-8656 and enter the meeting code 851-8641-2506. So again, the dial in is 646-558-8656. And the meeting ID is 851-8641-2506. If technology fails us at any point in this meeting, it will be continued at a time and place to be determined. All votes that are not unanimous will be done with a roll call vote in accordance with the law. So again, for those of you that would like to call in for citizens comment, we will be having a public comment period from 6:05 to 6:20. We will be looking for comments between 6:05 and 6:10. If we have not heard any comments at that point, we'll move on to our next agenda item. So I do encourage you to call in now if you're planning to call in for public comment. We have to do the consent agenda first, but public comment will be immediately following that. You'll go into the waiting room and you'll stay there until we enter you into the meeting. When you are entered into the meeting, press *6 and that will unmute you. Okay, first order of business tonight is our consent agenda. This consists of the minutes of December 14th and December 22nd. Also the warrants and further a proclamation on the Career and Technical Education Month. I would like to have that proclamation read at some point, but for the purposes of a motion, why don't we first have get a motion on the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Jeannie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Jean. So any discussion on the consent agenda before I ask our illustrious vice chair to read the proclamation? Jean, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just, for clarification, on page 5, lines 149 through 152, it references something called, I guess it's pronounced Kalia. And I'm wondering if we should, at least the first time, write out what that acronym stands for the minutes, just so people know what that actually is. And Sarah, I think you were the one who was discussing that, so maybe you could tell us what it stands for.
Sarah, go ahead, please, if you can.
Mission and accreditation for law enforcement agencies.
That sounds good. Thank you, Jean. That's an important distinction. Nancy Lively, I think you picked that up. If not, please let us know. Any other comments on the minutes as circulated, the warrants as circulated? No? Jeannie, would you be willing to read for us the proclamation in front of us on the Career and Technical Education Month, please?
Absolutely. So it reads, Town of Bennington Proclamation, Career and Technical Education Month. Whereas February 1st through 28th has been designated Career and Technical Education Month, registered trademark, by the Association of Career and Technical Education. And whereas Career and Technical Education offers students the opportunity to gain the academic, technical, and employability skills necessary for true career readiness. And whereas students in career and technical education programs participate in authentic, meaningful experiences that improve the quality of their education and increase student engagement and achievement. And whereas career and technical education provides students with career exploration opportunities earlier in their educational experience, which enables them to make informed and beneficial decisions about their academic coursework, as well as pursuit of established programs of study and career pathways. And whereas leaders from business and industry nationwide report increasing challenges related to addressing the skills gap and connecting qualified professionals with available careers in critical and growing CTE-related fields, including healthcare, energy, advanced manufacturing, and information technology. And whereas career and technical education prepares students for these and other fulfilling careers by offering integrated programs of study that link secondary and post-secondary education and lead to the attainment of industry-recognized credentials. And whereas ensuring the employers have access to a qualified workforce is a crucial step in ensuring productivity among the business and industry communities, as well as continued American economic growth and global competitiveness. Now, therefore, we, the Bennington Select Board, do proclaim February 1st through 28th, 2021 as Career and Technical Education Month, dated at Bennington, Vermont, this 28th day of December 2020, Select Board, Town of Bennington, Vermont.
That's great, Jeannie. Thank you very much. Board members, I'm sure you've had a chance to read this, and I know we've seen them in the past, but this is something that I always feel very happy about signing. This Career Technical Education Month is really important. Our CDC does a tremendous job. They offer a huge variety of things to the students, that many of which are unavailable in other communities around the state. So we're very lucky to have such a good career and technical education in town. Any further questions on the consent agenda? If not, I will ask us to unmute, and we will be voting on all of these items at once. And if they pass, I will sign them and get them onto the town manager. So last call. Okay, please unmute yourselves. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is public comment. We are doing this, of course, virtually, and let me put up that number again one more time, which I have put up a little while ago. If you want to call, please do dial in the next 5 minutes or so at 646-558-8656 and enter the meeting ID 851-8641-2506. You'll have to press the pound sign twice. And then once you've been entered into the meeting, you'll have to unmute yourself by pressing *6. So we had one person in the waiting room. That person is no longer in the waiting room. So I think maybe what I'll do, it's about 6:10 right now. I am going to, okay, the caller called back in. I'm going to admit caller ending in 592 into the Bennington Select Board meeting. So caller ending in 592, welcome to the Bennington Select Board meeting. Please press *6 to unmute yourself and tell us what's on your mind. Tell us your name and tell us what's on your mind. So caller ending in 592, you've been entered into the Bennington Select Board meeting. Please press *6 and that will unmute you. I can no longer unmute you from in my role as host.
Hi, I'm not sure if the number you're referring to is mine. Is it 6592?
Yeah, 592, that's right. Yes, thanks very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Joshua Ferguson. I'm calling from Rutland County. I wanted to share an update on a project I'm working with in this area. Some constituents here have asked that I reach out to Bennington for its relevance to this project and potential knowledge that might be helpful. So I'm a lifelong Vermonter, and I formed the Vermont Veterans Tribute Task Force after speaking with some veterans in Rutland County about ways that we can preserve and highlight this part of Vermont history. And we're starting with the first Vermont Veterans Tribute in Fairhaven. It's going to highlight some historical figures from Fairhaven being the first town in Rutland County, and this is where it would potentially bridge with Bennington with the rich history that is there. I just wanted to potentially have communication with some historians in that community and make this note available. And there's 2 ongoing memorials that are being worked on to be unveiled in 2022. The other one is the Hometown Heroes in this area, but I'm working with the Vermont Veterans Tribute, and our community just wants to build a bridge with Bennington and share updates as we go throughout 2021, so that you can be abreast of the Vermont Veterans Tribute Task Force and our first project here. And we have hope of in the following year doing something similar in Bennington County. And it's just a coordinated effort to preserve this history throughout Vermont, and as we come out of the pandemic, and just ways to highlight our history, bring community together.
That's great, Joshua. Thank you very much for calling in and mentioning that. We do take history very seriously here in Bennington. Certainly would hope that you might connect with the Bennington Museum and Jonas Spivak. He's been involved in a lot of these things. It tends to be he's in more the deep history as opposed to the more recent history. But we're so proud of our veterans home, and we're so pleased to have that in our community, that this connection you're talking about to a veterans tribute task force would be very welcome. And I'd encourage you to stay in touch, both maybe directly with our town manager, Stuart Hurd, who's on this call, and you're certainly welcome to keep in touch with me as chair of the select board. And we would like to be very supportive of what you're trying to do here.
Thank you so much.
Great. Well, thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
I was going to give my name and email address. May I do that for others to have?
You absolutely may. Yeah, please do.
So my name is Joshua Ferguson, Ferguson. And my email is joshua.ferguson@usa.com. And I made a note of all the items you just mentioned and individuals, and I will have it for my notes. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. Happy New Year.
Yes. Same to you.
So I don't see anybody else in the waiting room, so I'm going to call, I'm going to bring public comment to a close. And we are moving on to item number 3 in our agenda. Now, it's too bad to tuck this between Christmas and New Year's because this is pretty exciting, but we have the great pleasure to have with us tonight Kayla and Jess from the Y, and Shannon also. And so I'm not quite sure how we'd like to start this, but Shannon, you have been very involved in this, and without giving you any warning whatsoever, would you like to just give us 15 seconds of context here before we hear from Jess and Kayla?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, I'm sure everyone has noticed the old Ben High on Main Street has a new paint job, and maybe you've heard about the farmers market being there for the winter, hopefully when we can be in person. So the new owner and developer, Chris Gilbert, reached out to me a few months back after he had purchased the building, and he said, hey, would the town of Bennington be interested in a gym? And I said, yes, I think we might. So we've been going back and forth and just discussing lots of different possibilities. And I've introduced him to Kayla and to Jess and talked about the Y in Bennington and how they're managing our recreation programs. And so it's evolved into an exciting partnership that we're still working on. And one of the first pieces, of course, the gym is what everyone is very excited about. It's still, he's still in the process of getting it cleaned up and getting heat in it so that he can put down a new floor and make it usable again. But in the meantime, he's been working on the auditorium space, and I was able to apply for a Vermont Community Development Program grant. And we received that grant to work with the Y to move the school age hub that Kayla has been got started, and has been running at Lake Perrin, to move it to the auditorium space at Ben High, which is really exciting because there's just a lot of room in there. And especially right now during COVID, that just feels safer to be able to run programming there. And then of course, all the other things that the Y can do in that space. So we're moving forward with that, and we're continuing to work with Chris, and he's been really very supportive and excited to work with the Bennington community. So I'll let Kayla tell us more.
All right, I think Jess was going to start, and I have like 4 or 5 slides, if you don't mind me screen sharing, just to kind of give the visual to go along with it for those who haven't been able to walk through it.
Give me a second.
have-
I have to make you a
Okay.
co-host. Just a second here.
Okay.
And while they're doing that, I just brief comment. We've been working on this project and this partnership for about 3 years now. And when we first came together, one of the first things we said is we can't bring all of the Y programming to Bennington when we don't have a basketball court, when we don't have space to do group fitness classes. And this opportunity at Ben High is really exciting for the town and for the YMCA, because it's finally going to give us that space that we've been dying to get our hands on, to be able to offer a full range of programming and services from the YMCA in this community. And so we are just very excited about this opportunity and looking forward to what it can bring for the future. So Kayla has her slides to be able to share, so you can start seeing what the space is and see what our vision is for what this could bring to your community. So Kayla?
All right, is it ready, Donald?
It should be ready. Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, here we go. All right, we good?
Looks good.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so I didn't know how much background I was giving. Shannon touched on that she received the grant so that we can move our school age program into the auditorium, which that's the big auditorium space. If you're driving on Main Street, it's the painted side of the building there. Of course, anytime that it's not being used by the school age program, we do hope to bring in other Y programs and have it available for the community, like the farmers market. This is one of 3 classrooms that are directly across the hall from the auditorium that we'll be using. And then I just wanted to mention that, of course, although this is all very exciting, and we are still doing our programs as much as we're able to at the rec center, it's just very limited right now. All right. And when we add Ben High, I again didn't want to take away from all that the rec center is and try to imagine it as a rec campus. with the construction that's been going on, we've had to get very creative. It's been a great thing. We've kind of thought outside the box. The Why Without Walls has really come to life, especially with COVID. So here are just a few pictures of us getting outside and getting creative, and some potential uses for the rec center as all of these changes take place. I see the rec center as being very full of activity. Let's see. Okay, so here is a cool picture of the gymnasium as it was when I took it. It's different even now. It's amazing how much progress every time I go in. So on this Ben High, the basketball court is of course extremely exciting. There are also 3 very large rooms. I didn't go to school there. I went to Arlington, so I think one was like the art room. I'll show you. So these 3 big rooms, and we imagine those being used for fitness equipment, group exercise classes, senior programming, and then some more pictures of the auditorium side. Again, the classroom, another classroom, and the auditorium. All right, little adjacent closet. Okay. What we're most excited about is just having space. I feel like it's going to be like we have no space till all of a sudden we have so much potential. I wrote out some of the ideas that we're thinking for Ben High and really highlighting down at the bottom there, community collaborations, being able to make this an asset that the community can fill and not have it be just sitting empty. And the Y's role in that is bringing these valuable programs to the community, both ones that we run and ones that we help coordinate and put on. Yeah. And I think that's it. I mean, I wanted to just not overwhelm with all of my details of ideas, but that's it. And I will stop my screen share. Unless anybody has questions that you want me to refer directly back to any of those slides.
I'm going to jump in, Kayla, and just say thank you for being so brief. We have had some conversations with you, and so we know that there's a tremendous amount of detail behind your thinking. And just we know you've been a big part of that too, running numbers and thinking about all the different things that could happen there, and even beginning to field questions from people like basketball, adult basketball leagues and things like that. So we know that there's a lot of demand for that. I guess I'd like to say to the board, there's no action required tonight. This is just a sort of informational presentation on the enthusiasm that this Y group has for bringing greater activity to Bennington. We will look at any possible budget impacts when we get to budget time. We'll see some of that reflected in budgets, and we'll have a further conversation about that. Tonight, I think it's really just an opportunity for us to kind of get excited about what might happen there, and what some of the things that we haven't been able to do for many years that we now will be able to do it could be. So Kayla gave us a short list. I'd love to ask if a couple of board members have some other ideas of how this may play out. And Jess, I guess I'd be interested whether or not if you have any other ideas of things that might really pop to you as things that would benefit our community that we haven't been able to do in the past. And just before I open that up, I'd like to just say that this building has been a tremendous eyesore in Bennington for years. It's been kind of the bane of our downtown, and it's bobbed along, and it's kind of gotten worse and worse, and it really has threatened to become a real dead weight for our community. And so we're very grateful that a developer with a lot of experience in these things, with developing housing and whatnot, has picked up this project and has recognized that while he's interested in developing housing in most of the building, that there could be this partnership with the town to think about how these big wide open spaces might benefit the community. So are there any thoughts from board members or from Jess about things that might really be exciting about this?
I'm happy to jump in if no one else is jumping
I have
in.
a question.
Okay, go for it.
Go ahead, Jim.
I think this is wonderful. I think it's wonderful for the downtown, and the lease agreement that you've worked out, it sounds wonderful. But one question that just came to mind is with respect to energy costs with the lease, will that be included in the lease, or will that be an additional cost?
You know, Jim, I think some of these things we really should leave to budget time. The sort of minutia of this kind of stuff. What they're talking about doing is the Y's talking about leasing that space. It's a good question, and I acknowledge that it's a really important question. But for right now, I think the question really is just, is this something that our community needs? Is that fair?
I think it is, but I think it's a fairly simple and straightforward question that could be answered.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Yeah, we don't have a lease yet, but we've certainly been doing a lot of negotiating with Chris and talking about what makes sense. And at this point, he is, he's planning to pay for utilities. So,
Okay.
but it's something that, we, like I said, there's going to be a lot of back and forth as the lease is created. And a lot of that depends on, right, these potential uses and really thinking them through. So that's kind of
Great, thank you, Shannon. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And so
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Shannon,
and I'm not at all trying to, I appreciate the fact that you're keeping a sharp pencil and that you want to keep an eye on how these things work. And there will be plenty of time for that. We will look closely at all of that. I think the
Good.
question
I
now
just like
is
to keep that in the front of the mind.
Yeah.
With respect to any lease that may have an additional cost.
Yeah. Well, I think the question now is, does this resonate with board members and what we've heard from the community in terms of what's needed in this community? So I see Jean Connor's hand up. I also see Jeannie Jenkins's hand up. Jean, do you want to go first?
Sure. I am so excited about this. I love group fitness classes. So this is like right up my alley, and I'm already a member. So I'm curious. Well, first of all, I'm thinking with all that we're going to be able to offer, I think membership is going to definitely increase, because there's going to be so much to do, and there'll be something for everyone. So that's a really great
Jean, you're
problem.
talking about the number of people that are members, not necessarily the price of membership, right?
No, I'm not talking about the price. I'm just saying there's going to be so much more that they can offer, that I think that there's going to be a lot more people that will want to become members. And I'm just curious, does the Y, for those people that may not want to be members quite yet, or they want to kind of test the waters, does the Y offer like a pay per class option instead of, having to join it? Is that something the Y does?
Jess, do you want me to take the first? Okay.
Yeah.
So I will say that right now we have been at capacity with members, and our commitment to ensuring that members could use the facility and use the classes made it so that wasn't even a thing. And generally, you do have to have a membership unless it's a special class that has a different circumstance, like a higher rate for a non-member. And I'll let Jess clarify any of that, because our membership has been a little bit different with having Bennington Rec Center only memberships as opposed to Y memberships. So if Jess wants to jump in.
And so it has been that if you have a Y membership, the classes are free. If you have just the rec center membership, then there is a cost to the class. However, with a Y membership, classes typically are free. And prior to COVID, we've had to make a lot of restrictions due to COVID. Prior to that, there was a guest fee at our other branches that you could pay $10 to come in to take classes. And so all of those things can be considered as restrictions start opening up again and things like that for people to try the different opportunities. But we are in a little bit different of kind of a environment currently because of COVID and those restrictions, but we obviously would love to be able to give those opportunities to people who want to try the membership down the road when things ease up a little bit.
And when we have more space, that's been the biggest thing. It's like, you know,
like Kayla said, we, you know, because of COVID and our restrictions to class sizes and things, we've really been at capacity with what we've been able to provide. And so our focus has really been on making sure that our members have access to what we're providing currently. We cannot wait for things to get back to whatever our new normal may be. But those are some of our challenges that we've been currently facing.
Great. Okay, thanks. Yeah, and so Jean, maybe you could take your fitness class at the old Ben High and then walk over to the pool and take a swim, take a shower there. Or maybe it's the other order, take a shower and then take a swim there. I don't know. So let's see, other hands. Jeannie, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, I mean, this is really exciting. And I remember, I don't know, it was 3 years or so ago when we were having big community meetings where people were coming and talking about what they, you know, what they envisioned in having the Y come in and what opportunities it gave us. And we were talking about the idea of a Y without walls because the rec center was not going to be big enough for everything. So this starts to really flesh out that idea of what is a Y without walls. And I love the fact that it allows us to keep using the rec center as a completely vital part of the community, but to rethink how we use those spaces so that we don't have this undersized fitness room and, you know, we don't really have a place, you know, so that we really can look at what it is we want to offer and put it in spaces that make sense, you know, for COVID, for non-COVID, or for whatever the activity is. So I think that's really, really lovely. And, you know, Kayla, I really appreciate your comment about the rec center will remain vital. Not only is the pool there, but that it will allow us to have activities that make sense in the spaces that we have. And with UCS co-locating there, I think, you know, I just think this is so great. So I appreciate you sharing what you're thinking, because I think it'll evolve over time, but I think for all of us, this is just so exciting. So thank you.
Yeah, good thoughts, Jeannie. Let's see, Bruce.
Yes, thank you. I too am excited about this. Just one thing in particular, as a user of the equipment, that space, that's a really small space that we currently have. I'm looking for that to be happily moved over to space in what I always thought was the old middle school, but it was Ben High as well before that. And just a word about, you know, the spaces that are there and the availability. I do want to thank the developer for thinking about the town of Bennington, the town in which he's working. You know, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know that we could use more gym space. And the schools have been taxed by the spaces, by the rules that they have to work under. And there are, you know, we know Jeannie and I have met with several people who want to work in or develop businesses that would need gym space. I think it's really critical that we try to find that. And certainly this is a space that would be readily available to kids around the center of town. That's the part that makes it most exciting for me. So I will be looking forward to seeing the financial plans and the other kinds of stuff that we're all interested in, but can enthusiastically support this project if it makes financial sense for us. And I think it will.
Well said, Bruce. I think that's great. So we will take a good hard look at any financial impact to the town. I don't know about the rest of you, but in the back of my mind, I'll be balancing that off against the possibility of having to do a $4 to $6 million bond to build another phase on the existing rec center. If we didn't have to do that, there's a lot we could do in town, and so certainly seems to me that would be really derelict in our duty if we didn't look hard at this potential possibility of reuse, as opposed to spending that much money on a brand new structure. So that seems to me like something that these folks are offering to help us do. Shannon, I feel like I saw your hand go up and then go down again. Do you have something in your mind?
Yeah, sorry about that. For some reason, I'm not able to raise my hand virtually here. So I just wanted to reiterate what Bruce said. I'm so excited for programming of all ages, but I think particularly for youth programming. And we know for years, the citizen survey that the town does, that's been a need that comes up over and over again. So I just think this is going to make a huge impact on, our kids and families in our community, which I'm very excited about. But the other thing I wanted to mention, like Bruce said, is that there are, these spaces can be kind of incubator spaces for community events, small businesses, et cetera, like the farmers market. I encourage people who may be listening or hear about this to reach out to Kayla, because one really great resource that the Y is also providing is the management of these spaces. So for example, if someone wants to do an event, when we can have events again, they could reach out to Kayla and reserve space and even potentially share space for longer term arrangements with the Y. So it's not like if the Y comes in, this is only the Y. I mean, we're talking about a lot of space that can be used for many different things. So I just want to let people know that.
That's a really great clarification. And Jess, we know that this is a great idea, but your board has to approve it eventually. So, I think that we have that in mind, that this is not something that's a done deal at this point. But I'd love to hear, I think I saw you put your hand up. Do you have more to say on that?
Yeah, for some reason, I can't raise my hand either virtually, like Shannon can't. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But yes, we still need to bring it to our board. So we're coming to you guys first, and then it will go to the Y board for approval. And so we're still in the discussion phase when it comes to leases and what the ultimate plan is. But, I challenge everyone to think outside the box, think big when it comes to this space, because we finally have the opportunity to do that. We can finally start thinking big. And one of the great things about the Y is that we don't serve just one area of the community. We serve the entire community. Our key phrase is from cradle to cane. There's always going to be something for everybody. And so we want this to be a community center. We want this to be a social service that really impacts Bennington as a whole on all different levels. So it could be from, a child watch space that, a parent can go and do a fitness class finally, but also have a place for their child to be and to be safe in doing it. We can have senior classes going on and utilizing the pool and the rec center, and now they can do 2 different activities all at one time, right? In one facility without having to travel. Teens, having a place to go. One of the greatest things that's happened in COVID is we have seen an increased amount of teens using the rec center right now, but the downside is that we don't have enough space to serve them in the capacity that we would want to. Right now, they have 1 hour of the day where it's teen center time to come in and use the fitness center. With this new opportunity, they can use the fitness center. They'll have access to a basketball court. There might be group fitness classes that they want to do. And so I challenge everyone to think bigger and think outside of the box, and let's have those conversations now as we start planning what this can look like, because we have a lot of ideas, but we don't have all the ideas. And so we would love to hear more about what the community needs too. And so talk to us, let us know what you're thinking and what you need as well.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Jess. Board members, I don't know if it was a dagger to your hearts as it was to mine, but to hear her saying, we don't have the space to serve our teens is really hard to hear. So all the more reason why, let's see if we can find the space to serve our teens, which is such an important population. Jean, Jean Connor, I see that you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, Jess, I know you're perfectly capable, but if you need someone from Bennington to come to a board meeting, or if you need information or anything like that, please know that you can certainly reach out.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'd like to just say that, Dan Monks, I'd like to throw the gauntlet down right here and say that if we get this basketball court up and running, I'll pay for the lease, and the select board would like to take on the planning commission, just right there. Winner take all. We're gonna challenge you to a basketball game, and I hope your people are up for it. I don't even know how to play basketball, but it's gonna be fun.
I'll bring the popcorn.
And I'll get some shirts made. Absolutely. It'll be great.
I know Jimmy Joe Carroll's got a good hook shot, so we'll he can be our ringer. So, all right. Well, so I wonder if Dan or Stuart, I wonder if either of you would like to kind of wrap this up. Jess, I think it's fair. I would say it's fair for you to take back to your board strong enthusiasm from our people in terms of an inquiry for how might this work out, and what might this be able to do for our teens and for our community and for all of our recreation needs in Bennington. Board members, we don't need a vote on this, but have I got that about right? Broad enthusiasm? Okay. Anything from Stuart or Dan before we wrap this up?
Well, I'll just say, Donald, that we have been in touch, obviously, with Kayla and Jess about their needs financially. And because this is budget time, we've been working very closely with them. And I think we can incorporate their needs into the rec center budget, which we'll probably be discussing within a week or two.
Okay.
Pretty exciting.
Great. I can imagine there's a timing thing here in terms of we have to do budgets now. Jess has to talk to her board before anything can really go forward. I can see that it's all very tricky, but an opportunity unrealized is an opportunity lost. So it seems like it's really worth trying to press forward with exploring whether or not this could work for our community. Okay. Great. Well, Jess and Kayla, thank you very much for all you do already for our community. And thank you for being interested in doubling down and adding even more. So we'll look forward to the next phase of this and see what might come out of it.
All
Thank you
right.
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Happy
great.
New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll talk to you soon. Yep. Take care. I'll let you let yourselves out of the meeting. So board members, that's kind of fun, huh? Let's see. We are going to move on to item number 4 on our agenda, which is community policing update. I know we have first an update from Jean and then one from Bruce. Jean Connor, why don't you take it away, please?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to get the public especially, and even board members too, up to date on where we are with the next 6 policies for the Bennington Police Department. Mostly for community members who may be paying attention or watching tonight. I'm just going to do a quick recap or a refresher on what these are. So these are committees. We're forming committees again to look at 6 more policies for the Bennington Police Department. And they're made up of 4 community, each committee is made up of 4 community members, Bruce Lee Clark, Dan Ferrara, who's a police officer, and Dan Monks. The 4 community members will change with each policy. There's 1 meeting. If someone wants to apply, this is what's going to be asked of you. There's 1 meeting for each policy. And they will begin on, the first one will begin on January 27th, and the last policy will be discussed in early April. Bruce is the chair of this, and he always provides model policies to the committee members ahead of time so you can educate yourselves. people that have been on a policy committee or were one of the researchers are able to apply. We're not going to, say that they cannot. And every attempt is made to match the policy with the applicant's wishes, but there's no promises. We had so many fabulous people the last go around that we had to shuffle people around a little bit, but we do our best for that. So far, we have probably 7 applicants so far. So because we only have 7, we've decided to leave the application process open, hoping that more people will decide to apply and interview and most likely be placed on a committee. The scope of work and how to apply and all the information that anybody would need to know is on the town's website. It includes the list of policies, the dates of the meetings. Because of COVID, most likely, especially in the beginning, the meetings will be taking place on Zoom. If that changes and if you're a person who's more comfortable meeting on Zoom, we can accommodate that. So don't let that stop you. If you really don't want to meet in person, that shouldn't stop you from applying. Lon McClintock, who helped us with the first batch of interviews, is going to help us again. He's committed to that. We're just waiting to get his schedule. And Jeannie and I were also on the interview team. Let's see, and we're hoping to do the interviews the first few weeks in January. To pique your interest, these are the policies that are coming up on January 27th. It's social media. February 10th, special events. February 24th, body worn cameras. March 10th, collaborative partnerships. March 24th, nepotism and fraternization. And April 7th is code of conduct. So I just like to thank the people who have already stepped forward, and for anyone who's interested or thinking about applying, we hope you decide to participate. It's just a great way to give back to your community. It's not a huge time-consuming endeavor, and the more people that are involved, the better the process is. The more people that get involved, the information just gets out into the community in a more broad way. So check it out. And, our email addresses are available if anybody has any questions. Bruce, Lee, or I, or any of us really could probably help you out. Did I forget anything, Jeannie and Bruce? No? Okay.
That's good. As for the policies that we have already drafted, the 2 that were introduced and read for the first time on the 14th, I would hope that we would hold off on considering them tonight and give a little bit added time for a response. I have received some response. Those 2 were fair and impartial policing and hate crime investigations. And I've obviously received them from you all and taken some of that into account. You'll see some of those responses in a slightly different color on the next time around. You should be expecting to receive those with the next agenda for your consideration and adoption. For the community, I would ask that you keep your eye on the agendas that come out. So the one that's coming out for our next meeting, which would be January 11th, the Thursday before that will have an agenda, and most likely there will be a policy that's will come out. We have one at least right now, domestic violence investigation out to the town attorney and to the state's attorney, and I know the state's attorney is looking at that one seriously because that's a very serious issue that she has to deal with. And then going out really shortly will be the last 2, which is the response to persons with mental health crisis and traffic stops. So those two will be going out to them shortly. So that's sort of the stages, the next ones that we will be looking at. For those of you who have contacted me and would like, and wanted to do editing or changing of language, let me suggest that you take Jeannie and Jean and I up on our offer to have you sit on one of those committees. That's really where you can have the most impact. So don't be shy. We will likely be meeting via Zoom, at least for the first while. The first one being social media, you might think that's a sort of a dull subject, but as it turns out, that is a hot topic in the policymaking business for police. And I've already put a collection. I will say, not only do we provide model policies from various places, but we also provide background information, particularly the information that comes from the IACP and other background information, which you might find or somebody else. So that's where we're at. So I think that's, pretty much it. So keep your eye out. If you don't look at the town on Thursday night, look at Front Porch Forum. At least at that point, the agenda will be there, so you should be able to know where to look. And the materials would be out there. So between Thursday and Monday night, you have an opportunity to take a look at the proposal and then comment on Monday nights. Thanks.
Great, Bruce. It's great, Jean. Jeannie, any last words from the community policing update? Okay, great. Sounds like an interesting winter of policy work, and glad that's happening. Look forward to talking about some of this stuff a little bit at budget time when we start talking about police budgets and whatnot as well. Stuart, I think this brings us to item number 5, the manager's report.
Yes, it does. I have only one action item for you, and it's an IRS requirement that annually the town adopt a certificate of resolutions related to our third-party health reimbursement arrangement, which is part of our healthcare process. It's not necessary to read all 3, or I think there are 3 resolutions incorporated into this one resolution. But we would need a motion to adopt the resolution and authorize the chair to sign it.
I would move to adopt the resolution and empower the chair to sign on our behalf.
Great. It looks like you're looking for a motion to adopt the resolutions, Stuart, right? So it's several.
Well, technically, yes, it's a titled certificate of resolution, but there are in fact 3 resolutions.
There are 3 in it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Resolutions.
Thank you, Bruce. Sorry about that.
Got to have a resolution. Never mind.
Sing it, Stuart.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that motion. Do I have a second on that motion? Thank you, Jeannie. Actually, I think Sarah beat you by a hair. So we'll say Sarah was the second on that one. And thank you very much, Sarah. So any comments from the board? This is extremely perfunctory, but any questions or comments from the board at this point? If not, I would ask you all to please unmute yourselves. And all in favor?
Aye.
Hang on. I can see a little unmuting trouble going on. All right, all in favor, please raise your hand. Aye, okay, all right. Jim, I didn't see your hand, but did you vote affirmatively on that, Jim Carroll? So we may have lost Jim Carroll. His Wi-Fi phases in and out. I don't know if we need to do this by roll call vote, but just, oh, Jim, can you hear us now?
I'm here.
Did you vote affirmatively on that motion to adopt the resolutions?
Yes.
You did. Okay. All right. So we're calling that unanimous, Stuart.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that. What else is on your update?
Well, just a very, very quick update for the folks out there. The municipal budgets are completed, at least the manager's portion of it, and have been sent on to the board. We have tentatively scheduled budget work sessions for the 2nd and the 9th, with the possibility of the 16th, all our Saturdays, meeting via Zoom at 8 a.m. Which budgets will be discussed first is still a work in progress. Donald and I are working on that and should have that agenda out tomorrow. And we'll also be getting the budget presentation up out there for folks to get a look at it. I think the press already has it, and you folks already have it. So, but we need to get it out to the public as well. Don't have much else. COVID continues to be a real problem. We have seen the surge from the Thanksgiving gatherings. We were all forewarned. I'm afraid Christmas gatherings may add to the surge. So once again, I'm encouraging all of the people in Bennington to please exercise care, please wear a mask, please socially distance and wash your hands. This virus can be very, very hurtful. And
Yeah.
that's about all I've got, Donald.
We all know people at this point, by now, we all know people in our community who have been sick. Bennington is now, I think it was yesterday or today, was the second highest county in the state. So, you know, we have been doing very well for a long time, but the numbers are not great right now. So thank you for reminding us, Stuart, that we really, really need to keep cautious for the next few months while we wait for this vaccine. Everybody.
And one last thing, Donald, you probably saw in your warrant a list of checks being cut to individuals called tax penalty.
Yes.
Those are the folks who actually were delinquent, were identified as being first-time delinquents, and had paid the penalty. We're returning the penalty to them. And we have given everyone until January 15th to contact us to apply for that waiver. If you have not been delinquent since for the last 5 years and you found yourself delinquent this year, there is a process, and we've sent out letters notifying everybody else that we've identified. So that process is moving forward.
That's great. Things tend to get lost around the holidays. So yeah, so I strongly encourage you to use all mechanisms possible to reach out to people. But thank you for doing that, Stuart. The proposal you brought to us at our last meeting was a good one, and we were all happy to support you with it.
Great, thank you. That's all I've got, Donald.
Okay. We did have that bike ped monthly report attached. It's nice to see things getting checked off in the bike ped world. So anyway, those of us that watch that carefully, that's kind of fun to see. A lot of good work being done there. Upcoming agenda, I think that the near-term focus is really on getting through these budgets. So, oh, Jean, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up. And oh, Jim's got a hand up too. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
That's
Jean.
okay. That's okay. Jim, do you want to go first? I don't
Oh,
know.
no, Jean, you go first and then Jim.
Okay. Okay. Dan, is Dan on? Yeah, Dan is on the call. On the Ninja Path report, you say the one holdout owner has been notified that the condemnation, does that literally mean that the property's condemned?
It's the process of eminent domain. Yep.
Okay. And I just wanted kind of piggybacking on what Stuart was saying about COVID. I was tested at the rescue squad. It went through the process of opening an account, and it was so easy. And we got our test results back in 36 hours. So no one should not get tested. If they want to get tested, it's super easy. It's super efficient. And they don't even do the really deep one. So you don't even have to be afraid of that. So
That's good, because that one's not comfy. So I have actually two hands up. I have Jim Carroll first and then Bruce Lee Clark. Go ahead, Jim.
Just for the board in general and for Stu, we talked about it several weeks ago, and that was cannabis in Bennington. We need to start working on it if we're going to put it on the March ballot. I think there's widespread support for it. I personally don't smoke, but there's an important opportunity that we have for the town of Bennington, and if only in tax revenue, and for the state, and we need to start moving on it. That's
Thanks,
it.
Jim. Bruce, your thought?
I want to harken back to the earlier resolution that we passed as a 23+ year career and technical educator here in Bennington. And I will not hold it against you that you actually called it the CDC, Donald.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No.
I
You know, we
getting ready
fought
for the new acronym, but the old one came out.
we fought for years to try to get people to recognize it as the Career Development Center or the CDC. And for me, coming from public health law, the CDC was not technical education. It was something else entirely in Atlanta. So it is now Southwest Tech. But I encourage everybody who who doesn't know about what's going on there to get on their website, make links. It's really a wonderful opportunity, not just for secondary students, though it is that for them, but also for adults and for retraining. So I just wanted to say, well done, Career Development Center, now known as Southwest Tech.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for straightening me out. I take that correction willingly. As I say, I opened my mouth to get the right thing out, and only CDC would come out. So, you know how it is. It was like that with BBC, right? It's very hard to make that change too. All right. So back to upcoming agenda. I don't see any other hands. Back to upcoming agenda. I think the focus is really on budgets for the next little while. We will have more police policy coming along. That will be sort of an ongoing thing. We've our manager's reviews going on in the background. Is there anything else that people feel need to be on the agenda at this point? Go ahead, Jeannie.
The audit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, Mr. Love, the auditor, will be available for January 11th.
Great. So he'll do an online presentation with us on the 11th.
Yes.
Great.
What about Y and UCS updates? Anything coming?
Maybe are you thinking during budget discussions?
No, just upcoming agenda items. Do we want to hear from them again?
Shannon, you have some thoughts on that? No?
I don't know about during a select board, but I can certainly, I will on the page that says planning another meeting, the Rex meetings to give updates. And I think Beth Wallace is going to do a virtual tour of the new edition. So that's something that people might, I think, would enjoy tuning into. And that's on January 27th at 6 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. But I'll share that.
Well, that's great. Do share that around. Let's make sure people know about that. Yeah. Good.
Right. That's the Pulse. That's the UCS Pulse meeting, Shannon. Whoops, she went away. I think so.
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Well, I think this brings us to other business. Jim, you have your hand up. Do you want to say something on agenda or?
No, it's other business.
Other business, okay. Before we start or maybe I'll just say my other business, and I might be stealing this from one of you because I think we all got an email about it, but there's so many things that our town does that go without recognition. And Stuart and Dan and Shannon, we really appreciate everything your staff does. We did get an email about Mark Sawyer and Paul Danzero working on a insulation project in the police department. So a $6,000 insulation project in the roof, more than half of which was reimbursed by Efficiency Vermont grants, and that work will save almost $1,500 annually in heating bill, and that over the course of 30 years or more, 30 years or less, it will save in excess of $44,000 to the town. And that's the kind of smart thinking, the kind of energy sensitive thinking, the kind of small investments for big savings that we really love seeing, and we really are happy when staff finds opportunities to do that. So I'd just like to make sure that our staff recognize that we know they happen all over the town government, but examples like that are really wonderful to hear.
Thank you.
So, thank you. So Jim, why don't you go first, and then we'll go to Jean.
Thank you. Just some thoughts that I've had over the weekend that I'd like to express, and that is thanks to all the professionals who we take for granted, those working in the health sector, in education, in elder care, sanitation, and public works, those who assist and inspire people with special needs, first responders and EMTs, people working in public transportation, public defenders, postal and delivery workers, our small business owners, and their incredibly dedicated staffers. There are a zillion more. So many who deserve our praise, especially now. Bottom line, you saved our collective asses this year. You gave us hope and a chance to feel normal when things were out of control. You are not invisible. You are heroic and indispensable. Thank you for everything.
Well said, Jim. Well said. I think we all wish we could say it as eloquently as you just did. Jean, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to particularly give a shout out to the crews who cleared away, what, around 18, 20 inches of snow. Not too long ago, we seem to have forgotten all about it because it's gone, but wow, that was quite a storm. So anyway, thank you to everyone who had a hand in plowing our streets and clearing the sidewalks and so forth. And I just wanted to also thank Lynn Sweet and the management, I guess Jennifer Jasper at BPAC for doing the community variety show on Zoom this year, because we couldn't do it in public and in person. And Lynn Sweet pulled off a theatrical performance kind of on Zoom. It was a different platform, but they did a reading of It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas night and last night. We watched it last night. So anyway, there's no stopping these people. The show must go on somehow, and they managed to do it. So anyway, thank you to them.
That's great, Jean. That's great. And, you know, Gina, on your first point, that snow came as fast as it left, and it left in a hurry on Christmas Day. And it's kind of in the category of bullets we've dodged. I don't know how many people know this, but the DPW, the town staff, was ready for a very serious flooding emergency that could have happened. The flooding forecast was for something that was almost in the neighborhood of Irene, not quite, but it was the forecasts were very, very high for that. And the town manager and assistant manager let me know and let us know that the town staff, the DPW, was ready. They had sandbags ready. They were ready to work if the floods came, and they were prepared to work Christmas Day if they had to. Fortunately, didn't turn out that way, and we all were very lucky. But that's the kind of stuff that goes into the category of, thank goodness we have good people working for the town who are willing to do the hard work when necessary. Jean Connor, your hand is still up. Is that an old hand? Okay, Jeannie Jenkins, go ahead, please.
Hi, so yeah, you did steal my thunder a little bit, Donald, but that's okay. I'll just, no, that's fine. Both Mark Sawyer and Paul Danzero have been so available and so knowledgeable to the Energy Committee. I just wanted to just follow up on your comment just now about you know, the work that they've done that has saved the town money yet again. They have answered so many questions, and when I sent out the notice about the you know, this latest action at the police department to save money, you know, the comments came back immediately. Well, of course they did. They are the best. They are amazing. So, you know, I think enough can't be said, because it is not that they just respond when something happens. They're always ahead of it. They're always looking for where can we save money? Where can we be more efficient? You know, how can we make our town buildings the best that they can possibly be? So, you know, a big thank you to both of them for that. They're really amazing. And then I just have to say, doing very, very last minute shopping. I was downtown and there was an elf named John who was on the street handing out $10 coupons to people to shop in the downtown. And at first I'm like, oh, good, I'm going to the candy store. So, you know, this will work. And then I thought, well, I just saved $10. So now I can go to the bookstore. I mean, you know, so it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And I ended up buying a lot more, but it was so nice. I was watching people up and down the street with these $10 coupons that were part of the CARES Act money to just stimulate shopping in the downtown. And, you know, people were just so happy and people were running up and down the street, you know, saying, I have a coupon, or, you know, I just bought this. So again, I don't know. We have great people. We have great people in this community. So
That's right.
that's fine.
Well, unless there are any other comments, maybe that's a good place to leave it tonight. Stuart, notwithstanding all of our positive comments about your town staff, we're still going to put the thumb screws on you during budget time. You can expect that. You get it every year, but we'll have some fun with that starting Saturday at 8 o'clock. And then we'll repeat with the different budgets the next Saturday. Just like to tell board members again, something that Stuart just said, we may not do it in the order that we normally do it in. We're juggling a few different things. So I would say, try, if you can, take this week to become familiar with the whole budget sections, and we will address what we can when we can on Saturday. Okay. So we have a need for a very brief executive session on a personnel matter. I would look for a motion to go into executive session with no vote being taken. Do I have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Jean. So all in favor of going into executive session, please unmute yourselves first. And if you're unable to unmute yourself, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Okay. I see that unmute thing is being tricky tonight. So anyway.